the sun beat down mercilessly on the dusty trails of Cedar Valley, Texas, where young Bobby Ray Thompson rode his horse with more enthusiasm than skill. Bobby, the adopted son of wealthy ranch owner Big Jack Thompson, was known throughout 3 counties as the most good-natured fool who ever sat a saddle. Big Jack had found Bobby as a baby, abandoned near the old mission, and raised him alongside his biological daughter, Katie. While Katie grew into a sharp-minded woman who could manage the ranch's books and break horses with equal skill, Bobby remained blissfully simple, his heart bigger than his brain. On this particular morning, Bobby was riding into town, singing off-key and waving at every person he passed. His adoptive father had indulged him all his life, never pushing him to learn the hard skills of ranching or business. Bobby was content to while away his days fishing, playing harmonica badly, and charming the local children with his silly antics. "Morning, Bobby," called out Sheriff Morrison, shaking his head with a fond smile, as Bobby nearly rode his horse into a water trough. "Mighty fine morning, Sheriff," Bobby hollered back, tipping his hat so enthusiastically it flew off his head. But fate had other plans for Bobby Ray Thompson. Into Cedar Valley rode the Madison family, Madeline Madison, a widow of means from back east, and her daughter Rosalie. They'd purchased the abandoned Blackwood estate on the hill, planning to establish a proper finishing school for young ladies. Madeline Madison was elegant, educated, and entirely unimpressed with the rough frontier town. Rosalie, however, was different, beautiful, and refined like her mother. She possessed a rebellious streak and a romantic heart. When she first saw Bobby tumbling off his horse while trying to impress her, she laughed, but not unkindly. Bobby was smitten instantly. This Eastern rose, with her fine dresses and gentle manner, represented everything exotic and wonderful. He began making a complete fool of himself trying to court her, serenading her window badly, sending her wildflowers, usually half dead by delivery, and attempting poetry that barely rhymed. Madeline Madison was horrified. "Absolutely not," she told Rosalie firmly. "That simpleton is beneath your consideration. You're meant for someone refined, educated, someone like Harrison Blackwell." Harrison Blackwell III was the son of the railroad magnate expanding lines through Texas. Educated at Harvard, dressed in tailored suits even in the dusty heat, he represented everything Madeline wanted for her daughter. He was also calculating, ambitious, and viewed Rosalie as a useful alliance. But Rosalie had seen something in Bobby that others missed, a pure heart, untainted by greed or pretension. When he smiled, the whole world seemed brighter. When he laughed, it was impossible not to join in. "He makes me happy, Mother," Rosalie said quietly. "Happiness," Madeline scoffed, "doesn't pay bills or maintain social standing." Meanwhile, Bobby's pursuit of Rosalie became the talk of Cedar Valley. He attempted to learn proper manners from Katie, with disastrous results. At a town social, he managed to spill punch on the mayor, step on 3 ladies' dresses, and somehow set fire to the decorative bunting. Yet through it all, Rosalie found herself drawn to him. Unlike Harrison, who spoke to her like she was a prize to be won, Bobby spoke to her like she was the sun itself, something to marvel at, to warm yourself by, to be grateful for. The turning point came at the county fair. Harrison had arranged an elaborate demonstration, planning to publicly ask Rosalie's hand in marriage. But Bobby, in his well-meaning way, had entered the bronco riding competition to impress her. What happened next would be retold in saloons for years. Bobby somehow stayed on the wildest bronco for exactly 8 seconds, not through skill, but through sheer flailing panic that confused the horse into submission. When he was finally thrown, he landed directly in the water barrel, emerged soaked and grinning, and bowed to Rosalie as if he'd planned the entire spectacle. The crowd roared with laughter and applause. Even Rosalie couldn't contain her joy, clapping and cheering, while her mother fumed and Harrison's face turned purple with rage. "That does it," Madeline declared. "We're returning east immediately." But that night, as the Madison women prepared to pack, tragedy struck Cedar Valley. Fire broke out at the schoolhouse with children trapped inside, while men organized a bucket brigade. Bobby, who'd been sleeping in the livery stable, heard the screams and ran toward the flames. Without thinking of his own safety, he plunged into the burning building again and again, pulling out 7 children, including Sheriff Morrison's twin daughters. On his final trip, a beam collapsed, trapping him inside. It was Katie who rallied the men to pull the beam away. They dragged Bobby out, unconscious and badly burned, just as the roof collapsed. For 3 days, Bobby lay unconscious in Doc Wilson's office. Big Jack sat vigil, tears streaming down his weathered face. Katie held her brother's hand, whispering prayers, and Rosalie, defying her mother's orders, sat in the corner reading to him from books of poetry. "Why do you care about that fool?" Madeline demanded. Rosalie looked up, tears on her cheeks. "Because that fool is braver and kinder than any man I've ever known. He doesn't think before he acts, because his first instinct is always to help others. That's not foolishness, Mother, that's heroism." When Bobby finally opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was Rosalie's face. Did I impress you?" he croaked. She laughed through her tears. "You saved 7 children, Bobby. Yes, you impressed me." His recovery was slow. Big Jack, shaken by nearly losing his son, finally sat down with Bobby for a real conversation, perhaps the first serious one of Bobby's life. "Son, I've failed you," Big Jack said. "I loved you so much. I protected you from everything, including growing up. But you're a man now, a hero, and it's time I treated you like one." For the first time, Bobby began learning the real work of the ranch. He struggled, failed, tried again. Katie proved a patient teacher, and slowly, Bobby began to develop skills beyond his good nature. He'd never be sophisticated like Harrison Blackwell, but he learned to manage accounts, to train horses, to lead ranch hands. Harrison, meanwhile, revealed his true colors. Furious at losing Rosalie's attention, he attempted to use his father's influence to force the Madisons into financial difficulty, hoping to pressure Rosalie into marriage. But Bobby, with Katie's help, uncovered evidence of the Blackwell Railroad Company's corrupt land schemes. The confrontation came at the town hall. Harrison arrived with lawyers and threats. Bobby arrived with documents and truth. In the end, it wasn't Bobby's newfound business acumen that won the day. It was his character. The townspeople, remembering the children he'd saved, stood with him against Blackwell's bullying. Harrison and his father left Cedar Valley in disgrace. Madeline Madison, watching it all unfold, finally saw what her daughter had seen all along. Bobby wasn't a fool. He was simply uncorrupted by the cynicism that poisoned men like Harrison Blackwell. "Mr. Thompson," she said formally, "I believe I may have misjudged you." Bobby grinned his trademark grin. "Most folks do, ma'am. I'm used to it. What are your intentions toward my daughter?" For once, Bobby's answer came clear and quick. "To love her every day of my life and make her as happy as she makes me." The wedding was held at sunset on the Thompson Ranch, with the whole town in attendance. As Bobby and Rosalie exchanged vows, Big Jack wiped away proud tears. Katie beamed, and even Madeline Madison smiled. Bobby Ray Thompson would never be sophisticated or clever in the traditional sense, but he'd learned that true wisdom wasn't about polish or education. It was about knowing what mattered. And what mattered was love, loyalty, and the courage to be exactly who you were meant to be. As the couple rode off toward their new life together, Katie turned to her father. "He's going to be just fine, isn't he?" Big Jack laughed. "Better than fine. Darling, he's going to be happy. And in this hard world, that's the best any of us can hope for."
Hi everyone! Please subscribe and click the bell